Liverpool fan in Japan.
Hello YouTube, Liverpool fan in Japan, and Miyazaki Man Si here, and I'm delighted to be welcomed again by my honoured guest, the man with the best vibes on YouTube, Liverpool fan Andy Cantwell. How are you doing, my man?
I'm very well, Si. How are you?
Very, very good. I've just come back from an active volcano in Kagoshima down south, so I'm all fired up and raring to go.
Your days are so much more interesting than mine. Just traveling to active volcanoes, just on a whim. I love
Life is for living, right?
it. Brilliant. I love it.
Indeed. Yeah, no, I'm delighted to see the Reds back in action because the international break is one of those where you usually kick back, chill, and relax. Are you into your international football?
No, I'm not at all. And I feel terrible for saying that. But no, I've made a conscious effort to get into watching Ireland lately, but maybe I've just been spoiled by the fact that Liverpool are just so good, and I'm just used to just enjoying my football rather than just being like I normally am. So I am trying because I feel very unpatriotic, but so I think as a result of that, I'm not just any international football. I just see as a disturbance to my usual football enjoyment. But how about you? Would you get into it? Would you get into the national team and all that?
Yeah, it depends really. So as opposed to supporting national teams, obviously I want Japan to do well, England on occasion, big tournaments to do well. It's kind of like seeing
Yeah.
Wataru Endo shake off the cobwebs, see him lead by example on international duty. So that's always nice as well. And also it gives us a chance to get our injured players back into the mix. For Alisson Becker back, for example, Harvey Elliott, delighted to see the lad back, that kind of thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's brilliant.
Yeah,
I was going to say the question would be with Alisson is I seen online this week of would he go straight back in, or would you keep Kelleher for the next game? What do you think on that?
Well, I'm going with Arne Slot, right? Arne Slot made it loud and clear in the press conferences. As soon as Alisson Becker's fit, he's number one. He goes straight back in. And I think because Kelleher's form has been fantastic and we haven't really lost momentum or dropped any points, you have that kind of recency bias whereby, we're all right with Kelleher in there. We'll be just fine. But in the biggest matches, Madrid and Manchester City, people forget just how Alisson is literally the best in the world, or at least, top 1 or 2 or 3 at the moment. And in those big, clutch, crucial moments, they give the confidence to the back line as well, knowing that you've got Alisson Becker, the big Brazilian behind you, who makes the most complex things look outstandingly easy. It has that kind of influential effect. And I think it's the same with Virgil van Dijk, right? And this is a metric that can't be seen, is that the player that plays next to Van Dijk plays phenomenally as well, like Matip and Gomez in title winning season, and Konate as well. So who would you pick, Alisson or Kelleher?
Do you know what? I mean, I'm so torn on it because Alisson is probably my favorite player. You know what I mean? I've like for years, everyone says, "Who's your favorite Liverpool player?" I'm always like Alisson. It's got to be Alisson. That big, beautiful man. And then, but Kelleher is just so. Do you know what? It's like when, I don't know if you're a wrestling fan, but it's like when The Rock and Austin fought at WrestleMania 17. You know what I mean? And you're like, I love them both. I don't know who to be rooting for here. But it's kind of, do you know what? If Alisson is 100% fit, then yeah, put him in. If like, I just think you don't need to rush him back now.
Sure.
I don't know if that's what they're doing, but we have the comfort of having. I mean, Kelleher, just every single week when Kelleher's in, I find myself just being like, this guy, like I can't believe. And it's a credit to the goalkeeping coaching and the whole system that they've got there, because you see a lot of similarities in how like Alisson times is sort of rush out to get them, and Kelleher's great at that as well. So it's a great problem to have. I would put Alisson back in, but if he's 100% fit, if he's not, I'm fine with Kelleher being in.
Yeah, no, I love that caveat, so especially because Kelleher, we always have this annual vote in Japan amongst the Liverpool fans in Japan, behind the scenes, and Kelleher retains his top 5 spot in the sexiest Liverpool players currently for the fact that he's got a loose resemblance to Draco Malfoy from Harry Potter, and they love the Harry Potter.
He does, doesn't he? Yeah. Now, out of interest, who makes up the other 4 in that list? Do you remember offhand? Szoboszlai is obviously in there.
Alisson, I think, is 2 or 3. I think Virgil van Dijk is there as well. Dominic Szoboszlai is number 1, so it goes like
Of
Szoboszlai,
course.
Van Dijk, Alisson. I think number 4 was a bit out there. I can't. Who was number 4? I know previously they love Roberto Firmino's cheeky smile as well.
True.
Yeah, he
Darwin up
had that.
there?
Yeah, it might have been Harvey Elliott. It might have been Harvey Elliott at number 4. They love
Yeah.
a little bit of the British cheekiness
We're
there. So
we're blessed with a lot of attractive players. I'll say that. That's all I'll
yeah,
say.
and Chiesa's coming in as well, right? So hopefully he can make it next
I
year.
mean, like you just get lost in that man's eyes, and then you've got you got Darwin Nunez as well. Just it's always a good time, but you know what I mean.
What a
But
good-looking
anyway,
lad, yeah. And back to the kind of goalkeepers as well. Do you remember, like, they used to be blaming Akterberg and all this kind of thing for when we had Mignolet and Karius? We like, it must be the coaching or something like that. But
yeah,
ever since, Alisson came in, it's like, no, the coaching's fantastic. Taffarel, Akterberg, they're doing a hell of a good job, right?
yeah, that's it. Yeah, and it's nice as well because I know how much Alisson loves Taffarel as well. Like he always seems to when he's asked about who his heroes are and all that. So like that's obviously great for him. But it just seems like I mean even Jarosz is like when he's stepped in has been great. Like it's and then we have Marmadashvili coming in as well.
That's
and
right.
it's the only thing I suppose with Kelleher would be if he, I mean, fine, he'll probably still play Carabao Cup and things like that. But like, if Alisson comes straight back in, I just feel like, could that be Kelleher's last game for Liverpool? Or certainly last Premier League game. So I just think that like there's an element of like that's a shame, but it is what it is. I mean, it's a shame because literally if we had anyone else bar Alisson, I would not be saying. Kelleher has to go back to the bench, but
Exactly. It's so cutthroat the goalkeeping position because if you're on any other part of the pitch, right, you will get minutes, you will get substitute appearances, but it's very rare to substitute the goalkeeper. And Kelleher is of that standard, cool, composed, he's trusted as well. And then he mentioned at the start of the season, Liverpool look like they've chosen to go a different direction with Mamardashvili coming in, who's slightly younger as well, performed well at the Euros. There's always been that question mark in the media, right? And I don't really buy into it that Mamardashvili isn't great with his feet. It's just the way that Valencia play. He doesn't really need to distribute from the back. The shot stopping is phenomenal, and he's actually proving it week in, week out. So what would be your preferred choice? You can keep 2 out of the 3, and obviously Jarosz probably as the third choice here. We've got Alisson Becker, who's world number 1, but slightly injury prone. Queeve Kelleher, who's never put a foot wrong, still very, very young. Mamardashvili, who's a big money, big name signing, perhaps for the future, next 10 years, example, etc. Who would you have as your 1 and 2 going into next season?
Do you know what? I feel like my head says Alisson and Kelleher just because they've proven and Kelleher's young. The only, I mean, is it absolutely insane to suggest Kelleher and Marmadashvili because Alisson is possibly getting into, the last couple of years? I don't know. Keepers obviously last a lot longer.
Yes.
I feel ill just even saying that, to be honest. But like I think Kelleher has proved himself enough. Like every time I see him, I don't think I've ever seen him have a bad game for Liverpool, or very rarely. So I just think he's shown that he can do it. So my heart is telling me Kelleher and Alisson, and my head is saying, okay, we have to bring in Marmadashvili as well. But I don't know. I'm all over the place. What do you think?
Yeah, it's difficult because we don't really have that attachment or sentiment to Mamardashvili yet, right? We haven't seen him in the Liverpool colours.
That's what
he can do. And Kelleher has never let us down, never complained, really professional, won us cups as well. I'm so glad that Kelleher, even Adrian San Miguel is on that winning wall of trophy winning keepers as well. But I think just because like Alisson and Van Dijk came in and transformed Liverpool, they're part of the leadership group, and Alisson said as well he will at least see the remainder of his contract out, right? So there's no way you can you can't boot the man out.
No, I can't. So, and I feel bad for even suggesting it, frankly.
Exactly. But, so it's a tough one, but I do think as much as we love Kelleher and as proven with his top 5 ranking, I think Kelleher goes to pastures new, and Mamardashvili comes in as number 2. And if there's any dip in form or injuries, he's in because of the fact his age and his potential ceiling, they're probably looking
what it
at,
is.
it was too good to pass up on. So unfortunately, wish Kelleher well. He's one of my favorite players this season. He's really
Yeah.
proved his worth and ability, but I don't think he will. He owes it to himself to challenge himself at the highest level week in,
He
week out.
does, and that's the thing. More for Kelleher himself
Yeah.
to, he is more than good enough to be like, honestly, I feel like he could just walk into any team
Yeah.
that has sense that would take him. But it's a great problem to have. It feels like something that a champion winning team, a problem that we would have. That's like, we just have too many. We have too many good keepers. It's not like, when we had Karius was our number one and we were like, we were kind of scrambling around. Like, now we have complete, like, I don't know if our squad has ever had the depth. Certainly not in the last few years that I can remember, because every time, like, my eyes, whenever I see the team sheet, when I see the team sheet and then I try and mentally arrange them in order of position. LFC, if you're watching, please just give me the positions for it. But like, the first thing I go for is the bench, because I'm like, God, look at that bench. I'm always so impressed with the bench. Like, I'm like, the starting lineup's great, but look at our backup here. So it's a great problem to have. I'll say that.
I hear you. At the start of the season, people were calling me crazy and deluded, right? And we will get into our YouTube channels in a bit as well. But at the start of the season, when people said like Man City favourites or Arsenal could challenge them, and Liverpool might be thereabouts, but they're slightly short. But when I weighed up the squads, right, I was like, I'm convinced Liverpool will either compete or win the league. And I said Liverpool win the league for the fact that this squad is phenomenally strong. And the reason I think people doubted our squad, right, is because they can't detach the name value from the attributes of the player. So kind of like they hear a Curtis Jones and they hear a Gravenberch and look at historic performances, right? Whereas from a kind of coaching perspective, I'm like, rather than seeing the name, I look at the attributes and what they could offer, and in different systems and potentially under different coach and at the age range, I thought these guys are phenomenal. But I think when they saw like Curtis Jones, does he release the ball quick enough? Gravenberch, he's hot and cold, up and down. And now you say Curtis Jones and Gravenberch, right? Wow, core members of the team, absolutely lifting, the stands up every single week. Like, what were your thoughts
100%.
on these particular players at the start of the season?
I did an episode where I did the preseason predictions, and I did also predict that Liverpool would win the league. I didn't have any tactical basis for that, but I just, you know what, I just trusted in the appointment of Slot. I trusted the reason why he came in. I had also said as one of my predictions that Gravenberch would excel as the number 6, even when I thought Zubimendi was still coming in. I thought like, he, like, you just see signs of it, and he didn't quite get a good run with Klopp, but you could just see signs, the way he kind of can shield the ball and turn his body and go and all this. I'm like, God, if he just gets a run and gets a run of form. So I mean, look, they weren't the sexiest names on the team sheet. When you hear Curtis Jones, you don't like. It's not like you see his name on the team sheet and then like, oh, the opposition are quaking in their boots. But he's so tidy, and he's so like, he's just finally, I feel, finally getting a bit of head of steam, and he seems to really love Slot as well. Curtis Jones, he was one of the first out the gate to say, like, this is brilliant. I remember like he was very, like, within 2 weeks, because he was only training with a few of the first teamers, because a lot of them were still away, and Curtis Jones was one of them, and he seemed to take to him like that
straight away.
And so like, it feels like everyone, especially, well, I was going to say everyone, but like in that midfield especially, has just been given a little lift,
Elevated.
and then and then with the added sort of help of momentum that, like I always think of Leicester when they won the league, whatever, 10 years ago, and I'm like, God, the power of momentum that they had was such a strong force. And I think now that we have, and we're not necessarily, I don't think we've played our best football in the last, like, maybe month or so. So you know that we've got levels to go up, but to get those wins, and every win we stack on, it just makes it a little bit, I feel, easier the next game, or mentally, or we have that mindset of like, no, we're winning, we're a winning team, we're winning every week. So I think having that momentum is helping everyone on the team as well, because it's just kind of just carries you I mean, obviously they do a lot of
Agreed.
work as well, but the momentum helps sort of carry them along. So yeah, like I think even Darwin, like you see,
Yes.
I was really worried for him at the start of the season
Mhm.
because I was like, oh, he's too erratic
Chaotic.
for Slot. Yeah, and he'll have a moment of magic, but he'll do 5 things that Slot probably hates, and all this. But he's transformed himself, or Slot has transformed him into like his general play and his hold up play and
Very
his link
complete.
up play.
Yeah.
He's such an asset to the team now. Where okay, fine, Jota will probably if you put them in the same position with in front of goal, Jota will probably score more. But I feel Darwin probably does a little bit more for the rest of the team now, which there was some crazy talk of putting him in centre mid, a la Joel Linton style, and I was like, okay, that's just. I mean, he's too but so it's great. Like I just think Slot has had a great effect on them, and they're just getting a chance to flourish. I
Show what they
suppose is
got.
the word.
Yep. I hear
You
you. I
know?
hear you. That's an interesting comparison. I've just thought of it just now, right? So the thoughts around Darwin Nunez almost is similar to his compatriot Luis Suarez when Luis Suarez first came in. And do you remember a player called Nikita Jelavic at Everton, right? Nikita Jelavic at Everton as well. And he was scoring some pretty sensational goals. And Suarez was, bits and pieces. You could see the ability there, but wasn't consistent. And people were even saying, have we signed the wrong striker here? Luis Suarez or Nikita Jelavic? And my goodness, I was like, you must be out of your mind if you think that Jelavic is anywhere near this player Suarez is, and obviously Suarez showed it eventually. But when players like have the opportunity to play week in, week out and show what they're about, like something that was leveled at Curtis Jones was he's arrogant, he's overconfident, he holds on to the ball too long. But there's a flip side to that as well, in a way that he's brave. When you're under the cosh, he'll never hide. He'll always want the ball, always show for the ball, and always protect the ball, no matter where he is and where he's receiving it as well. And the fact that you need these kind of characters and these players in the Liverpool squad to be on form, to be brave, to have confidence. And that's why when some people mentioned we should dump the Carabao Cup, we should dump the FA Cup, I wouldn't mind if we go out. I think, as you mentioned, the wave, the crest of a winning mentality is infectious. Even if you win those cup games and anything, it gives the second stream and the whole squad and the whole club a winning feeling, right? We've got something to look forward to. We have next round to earn our place in training every day. So riding that crest of a winning mentality, I think, is very, very important. Like with the Klopp season, like we were in for the quadruple. As soon as we were out of quadruple, there was a slight deflation kind of feeling, right? We can't win it all. We were so close before, right?
I feel so deflated. I still have like post-traumatic, like from that. Like it's like this is the thing, and you know what that season has taught me more than anything is like just to enjoy the ride to get there. Like it's nice at the end to get a bit of silverware. That's great, but the ins and outs every week of like, oh my god, we won again. Oh my god, we're going to do it. And like now we're in for 4. We're in for the quadruple. We're still going. It's still on. Like all of that feeling every week, building. Like that's brilliant. Like I was talking to a mate of mine who's a Man United fan, and I was like, what's a good season for you? And he's like, and he said, winning a cup and maybe top 4, top 6, or whatever he said. Because this was before Amram came in, when they were still really down, and like I feel like I would still prefer second than to snatch a Carabao Cup, because if you're getting second, it means every week you have that optimistic, like, yes, we won again, like yes, like we're dreaming of the title, even if you don't ultimately get there. The enjoyment of that moment, week 1, week 2, exactly. And I just find like if so anyway, I can't even remember what the question was, but but I just that quadruple season just made me appreciate enjoying the feeling of expectation and the feeling of but I will admit, by the time it got to the end, I was like, just to have the FA Cup and Carabao Cup, and the way the Champions League final went, and the way the last day of the season went, where Salah thought he'd won it, and then the fans like, no, they've scored 3, and I'm just like, it was so deflating. So yeah, I just think that whole momentum, everything, just enjoy it while we have it. So
exactly, enjoy the moment. And I'd say like, everyone's turned the leaf on Arne Slot, right? At the start, he's got easy fixtures. Let's see what happens when he comes up to that tough run of fixtures, which is ludicrous, because you can only beat what's in front of you. And I think like Man United, you mentioned a good point. you can't actually see progress when Ten Hag was there. Who did he actually improve? Whereas Arne Slot, straight away, you can
That's it.
point at Gravenberch, you can point at Curtis Jones, you can point at Darwin Nunez, you can point at Lucho Diaz, you can point at Ibu Kanate, you can point at Kostas Tsimikas. You got the
Yeah.
whole, the whole package there. Everyone's
Yeah.
buying into philosophy. Everyone's improving and playing well. Whereas under Ten Hag, very questionable whether the players were improving, whether the transfers were right. It was just
Yeah.
a whole kind of kerfuffle, right?
It was a mess. It was a mess, and I kind of felt, not to talk too much about United, but like I kind of felt for Ten Hag in a way, but it just become so toxic. Like, and then the fact that Amarim has come in now, like it seems like a good appointment for them. I'm very happy with how it worked out for us. I remember at the time thinking we were getting Amarim, and then there was a stuff that was happening where he was talking to Liverpool, then he was talking to West Ham, and then he had to apologize to his team for talking to West Ham, and now he's gone to United, and so I was just a bit like, you know what, I think I'm good with how things are shaping up here.
Exactly.
But he seems like a good manager. Like, but I'm happy with how it's gone for us.
Of course, character-wise, right, that did seem a bit underhanded, right? Apparently, he's talking to West Ham to try to accelerate Liverpool's negotiations on there, and flirting around and committing to Sporting, and then now he's on his way to Man United. So ultimately, especially the way Slot talks, I am so in love and infatuated with the straightness of our Dutch master, right? In terms of the way he just enunciates and has everyone at the whim of his finger, because he speaks with brutal honesty that you've almost got no comeback, and he's not afraid to tell the media or the players, like, you are crap, but it's okay, I am brilliant and I will make you brilliant.
Yeah, exactly. He's and I think it's been quite a lot of fans, and do you know what, like I was going to say, like I think a lot of fans are happy with how sort of ruthless could be a word, but just how he'll do what's best for the team, and he doesn't have any real prior loyalties, so he'll just go based purely on merit and on performance and training and all this sort of stuff. But I see a lot of stuff this week in particular about now Slot or now Klopp is getting brought up again. I'm like, can you believe Klopp actually said this? Klopp wanted Anthony instead of Mo Salah.
Yes.
Actually, Klopp wasn't very good at all. And you just kind of, as you're going, and like, just hang on a second. Like, I mean, Slot is great, and it is a nice breath of fresh air to have someone so composed and stuff like that. As much as I loved and joined in Klopp and all the emotion, but it's nice to have Slot in. But this talk of Klopp now is, I mean, that seems so blasphemous to me. Like,
it's ludicrous. It's ludicrous. So this three-pronged approach here, right? It's kind of like the king is dead, long live the king kind of thing. And it comes from the media, the fans, and also the opposition. So some people have conspiracy theories that FSG are running this kind of behind the scenes, under the covers media assault on him to kind of put the blame on the contract renewals not being, done in Klopp's era, mainly because he brought his mate Schmatke in, who was only responsible for transfers and not contract renewals, and he wouldn't commit to the club as well, so the other three wouldn't want to re-sign knowing that Klopp may or may not be there, for example, which is absolute BS, right? Forget that. He put Liverpool in the best possible state as a handover for Arne Slot. So that shows the
100%.
integrity of the man. And then some people had the nerve to say Klopp didn't know anything about tactics. It was all Pep Linders. Klopp was just a man manager and just geeing people up. He's not tactically acute. It was Zeko Buvac, the brain back in the day for Klopp. But it's just, people have the hindsight. But we know how much of a dire state Liverpool were in prior to Klopp. And then when you appreciate the whole reign, right? He gave me some of the best memories as a Liverpool fan ever, right?
100%. And I was only saying it last week or the week before that, like, the difference is, like, Slot or Klopp took over and belief was on the floor, like, doubters to believers and all this. Like, we were doubters, and it's like, oh, we're probably, or we go ahead and we freak out and then end up conceding or whatever, like this way it was before Klopp. But what Klopp has left Slot is a team full of, like, just good players, but good sort of temperaments, good attitudes, that like work hard, press, winning mentality sort of thing. So the culture of the club when Slot took over is 100% Klopp and the work he did. So it makes Slot obviously can't just walk in and just go on autopilot, but it makes Slot's job a lot easier to not have to kick these players up the arse and say like Amram will have to do at United,
yeah,
and
their winning
clear
culture.
house and have a real do some real soul searching for who wants to be there and who doesn't. Slot doesn't have any of those problems. It's just everyone's happy to work. We love being in Liverpool, and it seems just like the best group of lads. You know what I mean? And I don't know if that's just me because I'm only looking at our social media and I'm only looking at our behind the scenes and I'm not seeing other clubs, but like. Are other clubs this sort of
Close knit brotherhood, bromance?
They're so close. They've all got a bromance. They're all so funny. They all get on. They're always laughing around. They're always hugging. They're all and I'm like, I just absolutely love the lads so much.
Same.
I don't know if that's
exactly.
just I don't know if it's just us or if I'm just looking at my club and everyone else is doing it, but God, I think our lads are brilliant.
You're right. And there's not really like it's a no douchebag policy. There's no one getting up to dodgy stuff in the background. We don't have troublemakers anymore. The jokers in the pack, right? You got your Robbo and that kind of thing. You got your leaders, cool
exactly.
kids, too cool for school, like Van Dijk and Trent and
Yes.
before, right? Even before, do you remember they were like Naby lad, and all that kind of stuff,
Yeah, they're so welcoming, and if anyone from luckily it helps as well that we have a lot of players from South America, so they can all kind of get together as well, and because they're a million miles away, so to have that little close knit mini group in the squad is great as well. But I just think everyone, I would be so surprised to find out in years' time, oh, actually they didn't get on at all.
Yeah.
Everyone just seems to get on. Or at least, maybe they're not all best mates, but certainly there's a good vibe in the squad, from top to bottom, it seems.
It's true. And they have that competitive rivalry because even if not the besties, right? Because that episode of Mane and Salah on besties, I was like, what? I can't believe they actually did that. There's no way that's right.
Yeah.
They've got that competitive rivalry, right? To push each other on, to win for Liverpool. And it's all about pushing in the same direction. And I think what Slot's really good as you mentioned, right? It's all done on merit, who you pick for a particular match. They're all contributing to training. He's making sure training is fun and they want to be involved. He's changed little things as well. Like they don't stay at the hotel the night before the match. You get your best sleep at home. So he's introduced little changes there. But speaking of those little changes, Southampton coming up, we have a lot of possible selection headaches, right? In a good way for the Southampton lineup. Who would you pick? What would be your 1 to 11 against Southampton this weekend to make sure that we stay top of the table where we belong?
Okay. Do you know what? I feel for Southampton, I would actually stick with. I think this is my heart talking. I would stick with Kelleher because we have two massive games, and which I would bring Alisson back for. Although, actually, no, I forget what I just said because I want Alisson to have a bit of minutes, but before going into those. So forget what I said there. Alisson, number one. I go Trent, Kanate, Van Dijk. I'd go Robertson because I think he's going to be geared up after that bullet header that he scored for Scotland in the 90-odd minute. I would go now midfield. I'd go Jones because he's on fire. I'd go Gravenberch and I'd go possibly Szoboszlai. And the only reason I wouldn't go with McAllister is just because he's always just so tired after international break. Maybe have him come on. So depending on his fitness, he would normally be first midfielder on the team sheet, but I think I would have Szoboszlai, and then I would go Diaz, Salah, and Jota's not back yet, is he not?
No news of him. Yeah,
no
news
so I'd go Darwin, and and I think would you change anyone yourself on your 11?
Yeah, so thinking about this, knowing that we have Madrid coming up, they've got their injury problems. Like Southampton got their injury problems as well. Bednarek is out. Ramsdale is out as well. I think their backup keeper played a worldie against us when he last came in, but he's growing old. And ultimately, I don't think Southampton will really pose too much of a threat. I think they'll change the system slightly to have the low block to frustrate Liverpool, to try to keep it tight and try to nick a goal. So with that in mind, I think you go with firepower and we try to get the goals because even in a straight kind of shootout, we were overwhelmed with firepower. So Alisson back in for the match fitness, Trent Alexander-Arnold to unlock the door. But knowing that Trent Alexander-Arnold is primarily a defender these days, we're not like having to give him the ball to be the main playmaker and expose ourselves, the pros and cons. He's there for his solidarity. Van Dijk next to Kanate, which is, probably the best centre-back pairing in the world right now, ahead of Gabriel and Saliba. I love it.
100%.
take Tsimikas on the left on this occasion, just because I think against a tight-knit Southampton unit, Tsimikas is better interchanging the ball, joining into the midfield to interchange the ball, whereas Robertson's got that excellent first-time delivery. Tsimikas gives you a delivery from deep as well if we need delivery from the wide left.
Yeah.
Gravenberch is almost undroppable, right? He is essential to slot ball, the slot machine. Then in front of him, you're right about McAllister, international duty, which you can also levy at, for example, Nunez and Diaz as well. I think it'll probably be Soboslai and Curtis Jones. Curtis Jones on merit, and Curtis Jones is probably, believe it or not, more of an attacking threat than Soboslai currently. He makes a late
He is,
runs,
isn't he? Yeah.
so that would be very, very interesting. I think Soboslai will be important to press Madrid and press City, because he presses like an absolute lunatic, right, with his intense off the ball. So get him there, but don't burn him out. I think we will need McAllister for a bit of control as well in those big games, but yet to be seen what happens. I think I put Gakpo instead of Luis Diaz for the fact that if Southampton sit back and they're tight, Gakpo's long shooting ability, right? I don't care if it cannons off a deflection, just pile it onto their defense, and something will squeeze through or something will break. He's got the long shot, he's got delivery to the back post, and he can go around the outside. Whereas Lucho Diaz is very intricate with the dribbles and opens up the gap as well. Darwin up front, and Mo Salah, fancy football captain, because that man, build the man a statue. What a legend.
And if Salah, because we have a thing on my channel where we talk about, someone mentioned it in the comments, because we're always talking about if like the difference in Salah before his goal versus after his goal is like post goal clarity. Salah is what it's called on the channel, and it's basically, I mean, like if Salah can get his goal nice and early, and then for the rest of the game he's just firing off Travella assists and like, you know, feeling it because he's got his goal banked, he's happy. Then that'll help as well. The reason I suppose I went with Diaz over Gakpo is just because I feel, I mean, first of all, I feel like Gakpo's got the strongest shot in world football at the minute. Like when he cuts in on that right foot, I'm like, just waiting for it. And I think if he comes on, I feel like he would have probably more of an impact off the bench than if it was reversed. You know what I mean? So if he's coming on at 60. If I'd been marking Diaz the whole game and now Gakpo's coming on, I'd be like, oh Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
Whereas like Diaz obviously can come on and kind of like do all of his razzle dazzle and stuff like that. But I mean, it's great problems to have. You know what I mean? It's, you know, but yeah, I think it's one of those games that I just want to get over the line on it. You know what I mean?
3 points.
Because we have such a big week coming up that you can almost overlook these. Okay, well, we'll get by Southampton, but now we have the two big, you know, Real and City or whatever like that. So I just want to get this done, get it. I do think that we should have enough. Like you said, we should have more than enough firepower. And yeah, I think so. Score predictions. What would you say if you what's your gut telling you?
Yeah, I'm going with a 2-0 win. It won't be the prettiest, but it will be efficient. We'll reduce their amount of shots on goal, knowing that if we do get the goal, they'll have to come out to try to get something. If we go to ahead, they're going to give up at that point. But getting the first goal is all important. But I do think with a Curtis Jones who can unlock the door, because that through ball, my goodness, that through ball to Lucho Diaz for the chip was insane. Gakpo being able to batter down the doors, but Diaz being able to do it as well. And funnily enough, you said Gakpo having that shot. He mentioned in an interview about the harder shot. He mentioned Soboslai by far has a harder shot in the squad. And I'm thinking, I know he's capable of it. We haven't seen it.
I've seen it the first 4 months that he joined, and where he's absolutely. I think there was one against Leicester or whatever it was, where he absolutely where you're just like, oh my god, but, you know, where it's just one of these where you're like taken aback by how much power he got behind it. And I've seen obviously that free kick that keeps getting every international break that he scored for Hungary a few years ago. So he's got it. Like that's the thing with Soboslai, like, you know, he's got it there.
He's just
like
shot
that
shy.
First. Yeah, like he does seem that, like he seems like he second guesses his shots now, but yeah, I mean, you know, he's got it in his locker. Like you said, Jones is probably a bit more of an attacking threat at the minute, but Soboslai, I just feel like he needs to unlock that again, and then
it's interesting. It's very, very interesting. Like I almost feel with Arne Slot that he's decided at the start of the season, right? He's looked at everyone in training, and this is his learning season to learn about the players, not just the
Yeah.
attributes, but actually in situations in a real life game. What are you going to do? How are you going to react? And how does it influence the team? Now, you mentioned Mo Salah. When he scores a goal, he's a different beast, right? And I'm kind of
Yeah.
the same as well in field hockey and football. I will hold my position. I'll move the defense across. But if I score a goal or early goal, I'm pressing with intensity. I'm driving at them. I'm going all
You're
out. I'm trying to
feeling it
look
now.
Benita.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You're feeling it in the mood, in the vibe. And
Yeah.
Slot's almost decided that the most consistent game winning or game influential players are Mo Salah and Luis Diaz. So it almost
Mhm.
seems as though Soboslai, Trent Alexander-Arnold, and the other secondary playmakers who can turn it on, and you still have the option if you need it, like Trent against Arsenal, for example. It's
Yeah.
about getting Salah into a position to play make and make the game winning
Mm.
contribution or the game converting contribution, and everyone else is around maximizing Salah's opportunity to sit in that
Yeah.
right-sided pocket, or Lucho Diaz to get in between the goalposts to worm away, to shoot a goal, for example, as opposed
Yeah.
to having Trent as a primary playmaker, a Soboslai as an additional playmaker, or McAllister, like Klopp had him in
Yeah.
part of the season as that playmaker on the right-hand side. So what do you think? Do you
And
think a
yeah,
kind of
and like
tactic?
you can you can see it in their stats and in
Mm,
their numbers this year where, you know, Salah's scoring nearly every week. Diaz, the big criticism of him last year or maybe the last two was just he just doesn't score enough, or his end
mm,
product isn't quite good enough or whatever like that. But you can see it in the team this year that, like, now, and even mentally now, when I see Diaz going through on goal or Salah going through on
yeah.
goal, my expectation is goal rather
Default.
than, yeah, my default is now goal. Whereas last year I'd be like, please finish it, please
Yeah,
finish it,
put it
please
away, put
finish
it
it.
away.
Yeah. Whereas, like, I'm still saying that, but whereas now I'm still like, oh, like I'm waiting for it to go in. Um, but yeah, it seems to be that way. Like it's not, Slot hasn't come in and completely
Mm,
ripped up the system or anything like that, but just his little tweaks. And that's,
yes.
because I think a lot of managers might have a certain ego where they're like, this is my team now.
Mm,
I'm doing it this way and stuff like that. And I get it. Like, they brought in Slot because of the similarities with
mm,
the way Liverpool were currently playing. But just to have that, like, he's just making just these little tweaks
yeah.
every week. Do you know what I mean? And and I like the fact that his expectation isn't, we could win 4-0, but if we don't play that well, he's like, oh, I'm not that impressed, to be honest. And like, that's what I want. I want it to be, and like, oh, like, he won't, like, lambast a player, but he might
Yeah.
single out one or two positions that could improve and all that. I
Or
just
moments.
love
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
He's just looking for almost like perfection. You know what I mean? And I think he's setting such a high bar, but he's just, as he's getting to that bar, he's just tweaking everything a little bit. And
Mm.
so, yeah, I think what he's implemented has been amazing.
Agreed, agreed. I'm always of that mindset, right? It's evolution, not revolution, not revolution.
Yeah.
You slowly kind of stagger your incremental increases in performance, looking
Yes.
for that marginal gain where you can get it. You see it already with the kind of system, defensively solid, everyone behind the ball, Trent not being exposed as much. You see the incremental benefits, like Trent 8 degrees this way, for example, and Curtis Jones
Yeah.
wait until the moment to make your run, connecting the play, and Gravenberch obviously drawing the
Yeah.
press and beating the press, and then we're in and behind, the initial press, causing chaos. So what I really like about
And
Scott, and what a lot of people underestimated for this Liverpool title charge, is he's a winner. He's won stuff already. Mikel Arteta's
yeah.
only won an FA Cup, which kind of kept him in the job and bought him some grace period as well. But
Yeah.
we also have winners in the Liverpool squad. Now, people forget this is a multi-title in terms of Champions League, Premier League, all the cups, right? There's so many winners in the
Mhm.
squad. And when they say Man City have been there and done it, if they go ahead, they know how to close that season. Well, so did Liverpool.
Mm.
Van Dijk's done it.
Yeah.
Alisson's done it. Trent Alexander-Arnold's won everything at right back. So has Robertson. There are
Yeah.
winners in there and in the leadership squad. And as you mentioned, kind of winning mentality really pushes on with those new,
Yeah.
young guns coming into the fold as well. Curtis Jones, Harvey Elliott, Connor Bradley.
And as well, like, we have, I don't know if any team has as many international captains,
Yeah.
in nearly every position than we have. Do you know what I mean? We have a
All levels.
team just full of leaders, and as well, just with Slot's system, that he's a bit more like balancing the risk
Mm.
and reward, and like the build up is a bit slower, but and the fact that he makes so many changes in a game, he'll swap out the fullbacks, he'll make 3-4 changes. I think that's only going to help us then the second half of the season, where we kind of ran out of steam on that quad season. Whereas now it just feels like we're not so emotional. Like the difference being controlled. Like I remember when Arsenal were playing City a few weeks ago or a couple of months ago, and I remember when City equalized late or whatever it was, and like I just remember in the build up to that, like it'd be the 86th minute, and like the Arsenal keeper would fall on the ball when he caught it, and all the players are like slapping him on the back, like yes,
go on, lad.
I'm like that's loser mentality, like just like it's not like it's a final, like just act like you belong here, you know what I mean? Like it's, and I was just watching, I was like, it'd be so funny, and I don't like City, obviously, but I'm like, it'd be so funny if City score here. And then they did, obviously, but it was a similar thing when Arsenal played us, and they're all like jumping around and this sort of stuff, and Arteta's like and I'm like, I love that we're just slowly just going about a bit. We're not like spent with emotion for the next week, and we're not like we're just winning clean sheets, just acting like we belong here. And that's what I like about the difference between us and like say Arsenal or whatever. It's just like we're acting like champions, It's
completely true. And especially like the difference in mentality when we had 2 red cards against Tottenham, right? When Lucho Diaz got that goal disallowed as well, we were still going for it. We created chances. We could have scored before Matip, got that unfortunate deflection as well. So it's just like the caliber of the club, the caliber of the players, and the desire to win. I think Arteta is a little bit by hook or by crook, or the black arts and dirty tactics. He just wants to get over that line to say that he's done it, he's won the Premier League, he's overcome City. Otherwise he would always be the prince in the shadow of Guardiola, as his pet disciple and kind of thing. So he's desperate, but their faltering form and their lack of firepower has really done them in. And I think City as well, people underestimated the ability of Julian Alvarez and Mahrez to chip in with crucial goals as game winners. Whereas everything now is funneled into Haaland. If you block out Haaland, their biggest threat, their main route to goal is off. And the secondary line behind that, even though De Bruyne's quality, he's aging, he's getting injuries. Gundogan is injured as well. Rodri was pivotal. He came up with crucial goals. He's not there to give stability as well. It's our season. Do you not feel it?
If do you know what it does, and I just don't want to say it, but and then you got City with playing Tottenham this weekend, and look, City will probably win. It's at Man City, but let's say that's a draw, and we beat Southampton, then it's like what, we're 6 points? No, 8.
8. I think it's 8 if they lose.
8 if they lose, and then we play them the next weekend. If we win that, like that's at Anfield, right? It could be 10, 11 points. Clear by the end of next weekend. I feel I shouldn't even say it.
But, just envisioning it. Like, that'd be nice.
Because then I won't be able to argue with that person jumping up and down in my brain saying we're going to win the league. I'm like, no, calm down. But if we're 10, 11 points ahead, I'm going to be listening to him. Be like, yeah, we are actually going to win the league. But look, we'll see. It's a really long season. It feels like we're doing all the right things. So that's all I'll say. And me and you both separately predicted that we would win the league. So I'm just waiting to see how it all.
So that's the thing, right? That's the thing. We've profused kind of massively around the quality of Liverpool's squad and form and all that. And Arne Slot mentioned it correctly, to temper expectations. It's so hard to not just break into this Liverpool team, but this Liverpool squad right now. And it's transfer silly season coming around the corner with January. We've got these rumours of Sevilla's Loic Bade coming in. He doesn't particularly stand out in terms of metrics. He would coming in for relatively cheap. We're linked obviously with other players in prominent positions. Well, potential replacement for Mo Salah. They're looking at Ryan Cherky from Lyon, for example. If he goes, that thing around Anthony coming in, all silly season transfer rumors. Who would you say is the most you can target their position in terms of trying to establish yourself as a Liverpool first team player, for the fact that we've got world class in almost every position, and even in the second string, which is the most vulnerable position. And
you know what, like I'm not great at this because honestly, every time we're linked with someone, I'm like, never heard of them. You know what I mean? I'm terrible for keeping up to date with other European leagues and stuff like that. So usually when I hear that we're linked with someone, I'm like, oh, like, and then I'll see some highlights online. I'm like, oh yeah, looks pretty good. But like the only one that I've seen really was Zubimendi, who like I see when we didn't sign him, I was like, good. He doesn't want to be here. Good. I don't want him.
Yeah.
And then
Move on.
Gravenberch is great. So grand. We don't need you anymore. And now I'm hearing that actually he's had a bit of a change of heart and he would be open to it now. And I don't know if there's how much truth is in that. But I seen Carragher last week saying like, oh, if Supermendy still wants to come in January, definitely get him. And so do you know what? Like honestly, I'm not mad pushing for like if we got someone great, and I think if we can get someone in a good position at a good price because it's January, yeah, get them, like definitely.
Sure.
But if we don't sign anyone, I wouldn't be like, I can't believe it, another window gone and we haven't signed someone, because I feel like I was saying at the start, I feel like our depth is just so good. Yes, if we're pushing for a title, it would be good to maybe have one or two extra, like new players. But honestly, there's no one that I'm looking at that I'm like, oh, I have to have him. But maybe that's just ignorance because I don't know how good certain players are. What do you think? Do you have anyone that you earmarked?
Yeah, so it's interesting because our squad itself, I mentioned it when I had David Lynch on the other week as well. I would rather us have a clean health bill, everyone fit and on form, instead of buy a player. And it doesn't matter how good the player is. I don't care if Vinicius Junior or anyone, right? Because everyone loves a sparkly new toy. You can play them on FIFA and Football Manager and that kind of thing. Great.
Yeah.
Chuck them straight in, right? They don't need any
Yeah.
preseason or bonding or
Exactly.
patterns of play, all that kind of stuff. If there's a target that they consider would be the long-term inheritor of that position, they're looking at Kirkes for left back, Aït-Nouri, for example. They're looking at Omar Mamouche up front. He's banging them in Bundesliga at the moment. If there's a long-term target who, if we do not pounce in January, would be moving on in January to a rival club, then I think you do it like Lucho Diaz, right? When Tottenham were on the verge of signing him, or a wild card like Coutinho, who, because of his unique traits and talents and his ceiling, that you can take a gamble on them for the fact that you don't need to play them while winning. But if you need a little bit of an X factor, an unknown, then a Coutinho moment, in the last 20 minutes could do something, right? So that kind of thing. But at the same time, I'm really looking forward to Chiesa playing. So Federico Chiesa has been an absolute roller coaster of emotions for fans because they're like, oh, we bought an injury note, a sick note, an Arthur Melo. He's not playing. They sold us a dud, for example. But Slot has played it honest. We never needed him right now. He's bought as a backup with quality, knowing that he will contribute at the end of the season or next season. We need to get him fit, get him used to the Premier League, get him adjusted to the teammates, and he has quality because we've seen it before. It's just around unlocking it for when we need it as well. And I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I can't wait to see Chiesa back, and if Chiesa gets, like, when Chiesa gets his first goal, I know I'm just going to go, okay, I'm just going to lose it because I'm like, yes. But yeah, like, and I think Liverpool have been quite good with Klopp and now with Slot. Obviously, Chiesa has something. He's not quite. I don't know exactly what the injury is, but he's not fully fit. And I like that Liverpool don't rush the players. Now it's a good position that we have such a good squad that we don't need to rush players in before they're ready. But like you said, I'd be quite happy with Chiesa and with, like I said, if someone's available and we can get them and it's not just a stopgap, it's an actual long-term decision.
That's the way.
100%. But yeah, if there's no one, I wouldn't lose any sleep over it.
Exactly. Because at the end of the day, you don't have an infinite amount of money, and people was always levied at FSG. They're skinned, they're tight, they won't throw money at it. But the fact when you bid for Caicedo and people saying that's a PR stunt, you don't do all that paperwork and you don't interact with other clubs or whatever for a PR stunt. They have the money for the right player. Slot is their chosen man as well, and I think a lot of lessons learned they would have realized. Van Dijk kind of signing, Alisson kind of signing, right? Even Robertson looking at the potential there, looking at the underneath line, like Conor Bradley is a direct successor to Trent if Trent moves on, and that kind of thing, the age profile and the squad composition and the friendships. So the one that I always go back to was the missed opportunity in the Benitez era around Fernando Morientes and Nicolas Anelka. So ultimately we went with Fernando Morientes, the Spanish connection there, having won the Champions League. Morientes wants to get, part of a build from a position of strength, for example, but the opportunity was there for Nicolas Anelka, a proven goal scorer who's used to the Premier League, who's familiar with Liverpool as well. We went for the wrong one, right? He went for sentiment with Morientes. He never had the pace for it. He gave us some good moments as well. But if we had Nicolas Anelka and building on from that Champions League winning squad, we could have gone to the next tier, right? Building up the squad. And I think FSG has learned that you buy the expensive players that could really make a difference. Van Dijk for the sake of transformative signing. You buy your Alisson Becker transformative signing. You build in and around that with characters and attributes that will complement that with your Andy Robertson, for example. You have the young guns, Harvey Elliott and Connor Bradley coming through as well. So I think the money will be there if Slot identifies a player that will make a difference. You mentioned Zubamendi earlier, the kind of profile player. If he thinks Omar Marmoush is the missing ingredient to smash away all the goals and break through the low block, then he'll go for him. But if the opportunity is not there in January, and not many clubs want to sell in January, then I think we'll wait till the summer.
Yeah, that's it. Like if the opportunity is there and we can get them, great. But if not, I think somewhere. What I like about how we've done business is that we've only really, in general, kind of gone for players that we've identified and we've waited for them. You know what I mean, in the past. So if, like you said, if unless it means that someone else is going to swoop in for them, I think get them if they're available. But if not, I think summer's fine. You know.
Exactly. And now we come on to a topic that's close to both of our hearts. So kind of YouTube content creation, especially in the football space. So you are getting some tasty numbers, my man, in terms of the views. How much does it affect your day when you see how well a video performs? Do you check your YouTube Studio app? Do you care about the numbers and metrics, or is it all just about content creation?
Yes. If I get a 1 of 10, which on the YouTube Studio, which like on the laptop, I'm such a simple person, but for people who might not know, like you use your YouTube Studio as well, do you, Si?
Yes.
Yeah. So there's a thing where if you release a video, it compares your video with your previous 10 videos. For your last 10 videos that are 3 hours old, they had this many views. Your video has this many views or whatever. So, but if you get if you're number one on the laptop, there's these little streamers that come out. Of
the firework kind of thing.
I'm such a simple creature. I'm like, yay. Let me see. But it does. Do you know what? Less so now, to be honest, because like generally I'm quite happy with it. Honestly, I get comments sometimes, which is lovely, of people being like, "Oh, your channel deserves such bigger numbers. It's gonna blow up and all this." But honestly, at the minute, and it's quite rare that I'm like this, but I'm just like, I'm actually really good with how things are. I'm happy with a slow, like you said, evolution,
consistent growth.
Yeah, I'm happy because it's such a good community, and that's what's kept me on YouTube, is because I had such imposter syndrome starting. And I'm like, I don't know what I'm even saying. Like, I have no tactics, I have no whatever. But people seem to like it. Now. People seem to like it, and it's just everyone. Like, someone commented recently, is like, wow, I've never seen such a wholesome comment section. And it's so wholesome, particularly on YouTube, and particularly on football related things. It's just been great, and then the live streams has been great. So it does affect me in a little bit. Like, I want them to do well, but I'm kind of happy with how it is. I have a copyright strike at the minute because I used a clip, so the views have dipped. Like, it dips by maybe about 20%, but then that copyright strike ends on Christmas Eve. So I'll be interested to see if things go back up. But it's funny because I used to show little clips and try and find a way of getting the clips in, whereas now it's actually been quite a blessing in disguise, because since the copyright strike, I don't really show anything. It's just me. And now instead of showing the goals, I just do these crude, like, drawings of the goal, and I just show, like, this is how it happened. And people really love the drawings now. Everyone's like, even when the copyright is finished, just please keep the drawings. So it helps, and it helps with how long it takes to edit, because now I don't have to add in enough clips. That's what I wanted to ask you. How long does it take you to record and edit and things like that? Like, how much time does it take you?
Yeah, fortunately, well, I actually have 3 YouTube channels. I've got the main Miyazaki one, Life in Japan. I've got this one, which is Liverpool Fan in Japan, the football related one. I've also got another gaming one called Suikoden 6, which is my favorite game, which I'm building up slowly. It's very much different depending on what type of category. So fortunately for me, this is the quickest one, which is why I can churn out the content and my opinions. I'm just a talking head. I give my opinion, the tactics. There's no script and no plan, kind of like what we're doing now, really. And in terms of making a video, come up with a general idea. Like, I want to talk about transfers, I want to talk about tactics or the upcoming match. It takes me however long it takes me to record a video. I usually do it in one take maximum, go over something maybe for a second time. So about 30 minutes to 40 minutes to record a video. And
Yeah.
then for my editing, I literally watch through. I can, got your audio timeline so you can see where you're
Yeah.
talking, where the gaps are. So editing for me is only about 25 minutes. I go through,
Oh, that's
I trust
great.
what I've said in the first take. Anywhere there's a gap or spike or anywhere, then I'll edit that little bit section to make it smoother and add some
Yeah.
transitions and add some animations. I love my animations and
Yeah, because
drawings.
I was going to say, because you have some good animations coming in on screen and things like that. And then so you don't actually write that out, or would you have maybe key topics of I'm going to discuss that, this, and that,
My
or you know what I mean?
my the closest I have to notes are eat ramen later. Remember to drink water, and that's about it. I'm no good with reading stuff and
That's so
interrupting my flow.
impressive. Because it sounds so succinct when you're talking. I'm like,
Appreciate it.
that's what I was thinking. I was like, I wonder how long it takes him to actually make this video, because this is like, it's so like to the point, and it, you know what I mean, like, but it flows so well. I'm like, I don't know if he's written this all out beforehand and he's saying it. That's why it's coming across so easy, or if he's just doing it on the fly, or and like, how long does it take him to put these things through and all this? So I'm just so impressed when I watch it that I'm like, wow, it's so. And then I'll see like the lengthier videos. Like if I get a video to like 15 minutes, I'm like, oh, that's a nice long one. Whereas like, but like yours would be at least over 20 anyway, and like it's never boring, and it's never you're never talking around about. It's always some new interesting thing. So I'm always just so impressed with how your things go. And then can I ask you, in terms of thumbnails, then do you have like a set sort of like template that you would maybe use and drop in a few little characters and then fire it out that way?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So as I mentioned, when I'm kind of talking, right, I'm a million miles a second in terms of ideas and flows, and I kind of got to condense it into like 20 minutes. Otherwise, I could be talking for 3 hours. I'm just a chatterbox, a blabbermouth. So
Yeah.
I kind of talk before I think, but while I'm talking and making a video as well, I'm always thinking which parts of the video were really interesting and how that thumbnail would look good. And as you mentioned, templates, I have the previous thumbnails I made in Photoshop, and they act as the initial template with the font, the text, the pictures, and then I see if I can just keep some of the same things from last thumbnail and introduce the new concepts and new wording to lessen the time slightly. And some of my gaming YouTuber mates have helped me slightly with better thumbnails, more clear thumbnails, because I've gotten a bad habit of including too much in the thumbnail, and it becomes cluttered and not so interesting for the
I've
people.
done that.
So
And
minimalist is a
then,
little bit better.
and I was going to ask, would you go back and look over an old video and see your retention curve and see where the drop is or where the spike is, and sort of fine tune your next video on that and stuff? Like I'm a bit of a nerd with stuff like that. I'm like, all right, people dipped at the start when I did Liverpool videos, and then I'd have like maybe 5 minutes of just general Premier League chat. And I always know it was like, oh, that's like a mad dip. And then because a lot of people are dipping at the end, then they mightn't watch it like another video and stuff like that. So I'm just kind of like, I'm just sticking to like Liverpool stuff, But
I hear you. I
but
used to be like that. I used to look really much at trend analysis and analytics, but now I've learned from some of my other YouTubing mates to look at specific metrics. So, for example, views are king. It doesn't matter how many subscribers you have, and almost doesn't. I know everyone says click through rate and audience retention, right? But it's kind of deceptive in the way that we're at the mercy of the YouTube algorithm machine code, which determines how many impressions it'll throw out there to give people a chance to watch through. I've noticed even with a high click-through rate and a high retention, it doesn't necessarily mean high impressions and high views. So what I've kind of narrowed it down to, for my own sanity, is a kind of format of video. And if that generic format kind of does well, then I'll just stick to that format, as opposed to which segments have done well in the curve and where people have dropped off. So if YouTube recognizes that I give my intro, I tell what the topic is about, and then I do the actual topic, the bulk exciting things in the first minute, and then I might go into a little bit more dry but crucial, tactically acute stuff, in-depth stuff, analytical stuff, and then I might plug, for example, I've just made some cool member exclusive stuff or a giveaway, things like that. And I try to keep those sections short, because you might drop someone here or there,
Yeah.
but ultimately, as long as people kind of know what to expect video on video, and YouTube is giving me, because I'm happy if I can get over 1,500 views per video. If that format works, then I'm happy with it, as opposed to this section didn't do good, I should cut it out. As long as I keep repetitively getting that amount of views, it's good. But I've noticed, and I don't know if you noticed it, if you do okay in a video and you keep your 1,500 for me around that range, it'll give you 1,500, 2,000 next one. As soon as you perform one bad video, like you get 800 views, 900 views, critically straight away, the other ones are 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10. Your audience isn't as interested as they might be, even if the topic is like blooming interesting or a really good video. It doesn't matter. You get penalized for one bad video.
Yeah, do you know what? I haven't. It depends. I mean, like, I suppose I'm only doing a review every week, so mine is a little bit different in that, like, I find my views dip if Liverpool don't win. You know what I mean?
Okay. So fan base mentality.
Yeah, because a lot of mine are like reaction vids rather than preview and stuff like that. So it's usually just after a result. So that's the good and bad thing, because Liverpool are doing well, so the views go up. But if Liverpool draw or lose, like one of the first things I say on a video when Liverpool lose is like, what are you even doing here? Like, because I wouldn't watch anything to do with Liverpool if we lose. But I'm like, thank you for sticking with me for, even through the wins and losses. But yeah, so I find that can have an effect. I used to at the start try and do more evergreen stuff and stuff like that. It's just getting the time to do that now, but I want to do that more. Because I find, like, I did an old video on why don't Liverpool fans like Michael Owen, and and then that did all right at the time, and then a couple of months ago it just shot up. You know what I mean? Wow. So those evergreen videos are great for that, because something could just take off, and you're like, oh, look at that! Like, whereas the reaction stuff is like, it's got a very limited shelf life, because by the time the next fixture's on, no one really cares about the last result, sort of thing. So it's a weird thing. It, like what people say, what the experts say you should do on YouTube for views, it doesn't quite work in our medium, I think, with sports,
it's too generic.
So that sort of stuff. But it's so far it's gone well. It seems to be going very well for you as well, and it's a very good community on both channels. So
of course the people are lovely. They're absolutely lovely, and I think that kind of makes your day, really, because some people do YouTube for clout. Some people just want to give an opinion, but some people are really invested from a business sense, like financially, whether the video gives you a good return for the time invested. And from my point of view, right, I could never rely on an algorithm to sustain me in terms of finances. I'm very open with the kind of monetary values. I get the equivalent of about £3 to £6 per 1,000 views, which is peanuts in terms of how much effort you put in, even though I don't put as much time, mainly because I just don't have it at the moment to young kids and a job, right? But in terms of finances, like the membership stuff and the donations through live streams, they make a huge percentage compared to the actual AdSense revenue. So I'm really, really into the kind of community aspect, fostering a great community, interacting with people, because I think that you can't rely on the views and AdSense to give you that consistent money on money kind of venture. So I don't really pay attention to the money things, because at the end of the day, it's kind of like pocket money, and I do giveaways to give it back anyway. I'm not really interested in money. But how about yourself? Are you satisfied with the financial returns on?
Yeah, like, it's kind of like, it would depend on how many videos go out that month, but like it might be maybe from 100 to 200 a month, something like that. In and around. Sometimes if I make a lot of videos, it might be closer to maybe 300. So like, it's nice, but it's not something like, it's nice to have 1 week of the month where you get like a couple of £100 extra. You're like, oh, great. And there's some merch that I sell which people seem to like as well, so that like is a little bit, so it's all like, it is little bits of pocket money and stuff. But it's been great for saying it to my partner at home, because she's, now I say, look, just think of it this way: every time Liverpool play, we get £20, or something like that. So she's like, so then even with the watch along, I was like, you know what, maybe I won't do the watch along, I'll just watch the match. And now she's like, but you could watch it and get some money for it as well. So I'm like, well, technically. So she's like, yeah, do the watch along. I'm like,
get in.
Good in. So it helps now. She's a bit more on board with me watching Liverpool so much, because now there's a fiscal advantage for her, So, but yeah, it's worked out well.
That's very interesting. Like, as well, I'm completely open, and I'm sure everyone loves to hear this kind of juicy detail as well. But my most successful video ever across all my channels was on my original channel, which convinced me to do this Liverpool Fan in Japan channel. The Wataru Endo, Liverpool Fan in Japan tells all about Wataru Endo. I think it's on
Yeah,
88,000 views or whatever.
brilliant.
I have a mate who did a video on Chrono Trigger, a Super Nintendo game back in the day, different genre, different niche.
Yeah,
He's American as well. Almost exact same duration, almost exact amount of views, almost exact audience retention. The difference in rates what blew my mind because I got I want to say £180, £190 for that video, right? Which
yeah.
is 88,000 views, 20 odd minutes, 25 minutes. He got $1,300
Wow.
for his one, and that's gaming, right? And gaming and football, I thought was interchangeable. It's not like finance where you get the huge amount of
Yeah, you
money
get the biggest one.
per
Yeah.
views, right? But what's the most you've made for a video, and were you satisfied with that amount of views correlating to that amount of
Yeah, I
money?
mean, I don't know specifics to be honest in terms of one video. I used the social because I had a bit of a social media following before starting because I'd
Yes,
make
yes,
sketches about like, Martin Tyler lip syncing and all that sort of
of
stuff.
the skits.
And yeah, and so one of my first videos, I put out a video talking about whatever match it was, and then the second video was just a 10-minute compilation of Martin Tyler reacting to Liverpool goals, but it's me
Yeah,
doing the lip sync. And that I got like maybe 160, 170,000
went viral. Yeah,
views.
boomed.
So it was great. I was like, oh, brilliant. Like I'm getting loads of extra subscribers off this. So that would have been my best performing one, but I don't know. I don't know what I made specifically off that. But in general, it's nice and I would like it to
Mhm.
grow and I'd
Sure,
love to do it full time one day. But yeah, like you said, the AdSense is just so fickle and
very
you
flaky.
know, yeah, and then you've stuff with copyright like that, like that's taken a bit of a dip. So luckily I'm not too
Yeah.
dependent on it. And things like that you're kind of I always hear horror stories of people who get demonetized and then there's just no
Oh
one they can
yeah.
contact at YouTube or
Mm,
something like that, and I'm just like, oh, I don't want to be dependent on it yet, obviously. But the stuff
sure.
like the stuff that's kind of that I'd be more like, oh, look at that, like as if like I have the app for the merch that I sell. So if I get a little
Okay.
notification, I'm like, oh, someone bought, like, oh, what they buy, and they leave a nice little note like, oh, I love the channel, and I'm like, oh, brilliant, like I love this. And I just love making it as well. I love making. I'm
Yeah.
gonna have to do some like this endo tea, which
Oh, yep.
I'm sure my
Loving the
Japanese
merch.
is broken in some way, but so like little things like that. I'm like now I'm just making stuff that I would just wear, and if people buy it, if
Authentic.
people buy it, that's great, But so things like that is good. Money wise, it's nice to get an extra little bit, once a month or something like that. So just keep going
Absolutely,
with
and
that.
it's really, really kind of people. Like genuinely, we talked about the good community we have, but the
Yeah,
fact that people are willing to fiscally support you and appreciate your efforts as a content creator, that is like
it blows my
so
mind.
heartwarming and worth more than anything, isn't it?
Yeah, it blows my mind. And like just so many nice things, or like you might say, or you get a comment of people been like, oh, I've been having a tough time, and your videos have really
Mm,
given me a laugh, or oh, I watch these with my son all the time, or I watch these
yeah.
with my dad, and I don't have a lot of people in my village where I watch who would even like football, let alone Liverpool. So it's
Mm,
like you get this like bit of friendship, or like you start to notice the same people
yes.
on comments, and
The
you get a
names,
bit
the faces.
familiar
Yeah,
with
yeah.
them, yeah, and so it's like you're almost friends. And so like things like that I just think are so lovely. Like that's what makes it way more gratifying, is when you just out of the blue you might get a little comment like this, or something like that, where I'm just like, oh wow, like thank you, like that makes my day. That's that sort of stuff.
100%, 100% agree. And everyone who is viewing this collaboration, thank you so much. Make sure you support my friend Andy. Top-notch content. His skits on all the social medias are hilarious as well. You've seen him already. You
Thank
know
you.
him. You probably subscribed to him already, but do it anyway. Top-notch, man. Anything you want to
Thank you.
say?
No, just thank you very much. Thank you for your channel. It gives me a lot of insight that I would not normally get, and I'm glad to see it's going so well. And I think we share a lot of similar viewers and stuff like that. So it's probably why the community is so good, because it's probably a lot of overlap. But
Yes, yes.
yeah, just thanks for having me on, and yeah, keep doing what you're doing, man.
Much appreciated. You are highly demanded. Everyone was clamoring for you to come back as well. So, guys, I'm
Okay.
delighted to be able to welcome back Andy and Futari there. Ichiban, it means the best. Until next time, China means ciao.
See ya.
What a great session. Andy is a top lad. Thoroughly enjoyed that. What a way to start your Fridays, right? Top of the table, Liverpool, the shiny one, Arne Slot, up the shiny one. My goodness, show him some love in the comments below. Andy Cantwell, Liverpool legend. Top man. Smash a like on this video as well. Help this video get seen. If you like this kit, I partnered with my bro, Soccer Atos. He does quality kits for affordable prices. In fact, he sent me another batch right here. So I'm going to open this up. I don't actually know what the designs are, but he said it's Japanese themed. And I do love my Japanese themed merch. So what have we got here? I love my kit. Japan Karasu, the crow right here. It's pink, black and white. Pure delight. Poet, and I didn't even know it. I kind of know it. Yes. So we have the Adidas jerseys May lot 2024. What design is this? It always sends me good stuff. Thank you, Socrates. Link in the description below as well. Make sure you check out his stuff. Use code LFCJAP for 10% off and free shipping worldwide. That's like an Oni. That's like Onimusha, isn't it? That's like some kind of devil insignia. Can you see the mask in the bottom left? And the pink dragon at the bottom as well. Top-notch, authentic, licensed product. Adidas collaboration with the Japanese football kit. I'm going to whip this bad boy on right now and let you know how it feels. Ho, ho, ho. Bad boy for life. Look at that demon Oni right there. It's like Liverpool. Liverpool are absolutely crushing the minions left, right, and centre. And I know Southampton aren't minions, but yeah, we predicted a win. So up the Reds. Let's do it on the weekend. Join me for the live stream. I'll be streaming that match live on Sunday for your viewing pleasure. I'm going to do the giveaway as well. Announce the giveaway of the competition winner for the best 11 with modern day tactics. Not accounting for injuries. I already gave my 11, but I'll do the live wheel to show who wins the stadium version of that shirt. So make sure you watch out for that too. If you want to support the channel, the best way to do it is through YouTube membership. As you heard from this podcast, YouTube don't pay shiz, but your membership really helps. So Domenigato Minasan, thank you so much. Hope you enjoyed that session. Me and Andy are going to be doing more collabs in the future. Happy to go on his channel anytime. Great stuff. He does hilarious skits as well. So check him out for sure. Thank you, Soccer Atos, for sponsoring this video. Make sure you pick up kit as well. This is nice, body hugging, body tight, great designs. Mighty fine. Hope you guys enjoyed the weekend. Man City, please lose Arsenal in 3-4 as well. All good. Arne Slot's Reds are on the march. Until next time, Miyazaki Man Ichiban, Andy Cantwell Ichiban as well. Jane, ciao.
Liverpool fan in Japan.